que le vamos a dar la bienvenida oficial a Tryp Rides Miami. Mañana será el día del lanzamiento en las redes, así que todo el mundo es activo y vamos a pasar una noche espectacular. Así que una vez más, ¿dónde está la gente de Miami? Yeah, Tryp, 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 Tryp.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can, please take a seat. There's going to be plenty of time for videos. Save your battery. No, there is no Wi-Fi in here. Please do not ask about the Wi-Fi. There is no Wi-Fi. Again, no Wi-Fi.
Si pueden tomar el tiempo, se pueden ir sentando, se pueden ir acomodando. Estamos a punto de comenzar. Para los que no entendieron, no hay acceso a Wi-Fi, así que si tienen problemas con su teléfono, para subir video, subir su Instagram, subir su código, de repente no lo van a poder hacer. Pero estar en la bienvenida y la cultura, el lanzamiento de Tryp Rides, así que muy importante que estén pendientes a todo lo que van a estar escuchando. Tienen la oportunidad también hoy, van a conocer al CEO.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I, please, I need your attention for just 3 minutes in English and maybe 3.5 in Spanish. Okay, if you can go to your phones right now, open your phones and put them on vibrate. Better yet, if you can put it on no ringtone and airplane mode, it will be easier. So if put your phone on vibrate. The last thing we need for this event is a phone going off that can't be stopped because it's in somebody's purse or pocket.
Así que nuevamente les pedimos que por favor pongan su teléfono en silencio, a vibrar, que no queremos interrupciones y que los demás también están prestando atención. Bebés llorando, por favor llevarlos al salón de espera. No, mentira, estoy tripeando. Así que sí, por favor, los teléfonos en silencio, en vibrate.
If you are going to post live on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and even if you have a MySpace page for some unknown reason, make sure you're using the hashtag Tryp Rides, Tryp Rides Miami, Tryp Rides Miami 2019. People know that it's going on. That's on. That is for those who speak Spanish only. So if you can speak good enough English, you understand what I'm saying, you don't, okay? If you do, the headphones that have the blue on, everybody's wearing, those aren't special headphones, they aren't special. My mic, okay, come back.
Si hay personas que no hablen o entiendan el idioma de inglés, hay unos audífonos color azul que los pueden ir a recoger en la entrada. No sé si aún quedan, pero ahí van a poder escuchar todo el seminario, el evento en español. Para las personas que deseen postear en vivo, quieren subir a su página de Facebook, de Instagram, de Snapchat, de Tinder, ¿qué más? MySpace, muy importante. Solamente utilicen el hashtag Tryp Rides Miami. ¿Vale? ¿Estamos activos o no? Esa energía.
Okay. Much like being on an airplane, we cannot get the show started until everyone is seated. So if you're in this long aisle, I need you to have a seat. Even if you're not paying attention to me, somebody near them tell them that Even if you think you're important, you are important because you're here, you're still gonna have a seat. If for whatever reason you need to use the bathroom, then it's to your right. If you go to the left, you're gonna run into a wall.
Por favor, la gente que está parada, necesitamos que, por favor, tomen su asiento. No se puede comenzar hasta que todo el mundo esté sentados. Si desean utilizar el baño, están al lado derecho, a su derecha, a mi izquierda. No hay baños al lado de allá. Si necesito usar el baño, por favor, solamente vayan a la parte de atrás. Y hay baños a su derecha. Así que, por favor, si todo el mundo ya puede tomar asiento, estamos a punto de comenzar. Si hay personas que tienen algún asiento vacío a su lado, sea uno o dos, por favor, si pueden levantar la mano y alguien pueda ocupar esos asientos. Si pueden levantar la mano si tienen algún asiento vacío a su lado, se lo agradecemos, así la gente ya puede tomar asiento lo antes posible.
I'm going to translate for him. He said, if you have a seat next to you that is open, please raise your hand so that people would know that it's next to you open. At this point, you can't move it. Sorry. Okay. So this is our very first Tryp Rides event, which is very exciting for everyone at the company. We've all worked extremely hard from the top down. Through Miami have worked extremely hard. I want you to please give yourselves an enormous round of applause. You guys have done an extremely amazing job making this the very first city. And I want to say, because I keep getting people who come to me and say, hey, there's more to Miami than Miami. So thank you, Fort Lauderdale. Thank you, West Palm. Let's just call it South Florida. This is the South Florida launch of Tryp Rides. Great job. He's going to say in Spanish, and then we're going to get the show started.
Así que como digo, ya estamos a punto de comenzar, estamos muy activos, muy ansiosos, siéntanse muy orgullosos porque son los primeros en ser partícipes y tomar esa decisión de ser parte de Tryp, así que un fuerte aplauso para ustedes mismos de haber tomado esa decisión. Esperamos aquí, deseamos que sea súper fructífera, que todo el mundo haga su billete para que estas navidades haya bono para todo el mundo, regalito para todo el mundo. Activos, activos. Así que sin más preámbulo.
All right, please give it up for our host of the night. Mr. Bill Crosby.
party, I'll tell you. All right, let me give it a chance to catch my breath. All right, I caught it. Hey, I am so happy to be here. First of all, I just want to welcome everybody, every bit of our Tryp Nation that's here right now to Miami, Florida for our first event. So hey, congratulations to you guys. Congratulations to you, okay? We are so thrilled to have you here, and we really cannot wait to pull back the curtains and show you everything that has gone on to create this soon-to-be biggest rideshare company in the world! A company which feels that the drivers are the backbone of the entire thing. A company which knows that riders deserve better rates and cash rewards. A company which will disrupt the rideshare industry with a better model. A company which gives its profits to the people. Thank you, Bob. My name is Bill Crosby, and I have the great fortune of welcoming each and every one of you to the official Tryp Rides launch. I just caught my breath, by the way. I'm good now. No need for like a paramedic or anything, all right? My face might be a little red, but that's okay, it's natural. So, we have an action-packed agenda for you tonight, okay? You're gonna meet the people who have worked tirelessly month after month to make this dream a reality. Okay, these people care so much about you and I that they put in 80 hours, 90, 100-hour weeks all the time. They continuously work hard, and I mean really hard, towards putting driver concerns first and making sure that this is the absolute best model for the drivers and the riders. I'm excited. Can you tell? Now, I've communicated with these folks right here in Tahoe many times, like at midnight, and then again at 4 or 5 in the morning, okay? And that demonstrates to me that we have a level of commitment here that is just unprecedented. This is how I know for sure that we have the best team possible and the right team to execute on this dream. Yeah, give it up for them. They've been killing it. They've been killing it, okay? Tonight, you're going to meet everybody much more intimately, okay? You've seen a lot of them on video, okay? You're going to meet our CTO, Taha Abbasi, okay? He's been working his tail off, okay? You're going to meet our amazing board member, Stormy Simon, okay? She's just awesome. I can just sit and listen to her again and again and again. And you're going to get to meet our incredible CEO and visionary, Mr. Bobby Goldie. This is how I know for certain that we have the best team possible and the right team to get this job done. No doubt. Now, for those that are maybe kind of new here and wondering like, what's up with the guy up on stage? Allow me to give you a quick tour of a little bit about what Tryp Rides is about, okay? So hopefully if technology is working great for us, we'll have some slides in a second. How we doing, tech? Oh, well this is cool. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so who is Tryp? It is a company, if you've already heard me say, that is dedicated to transforming the rideshare industry by giving drivers 100% of the fare. It's a company who believes that drivers are the backbone of the entire rideshare industry. And it's a company who gives the profits back to the people that help build it. And I'm so happy to be here, you guys. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the problem with rideshare at this point. If you're a driver, okay, you already know that the competition is upsetting both riders and drivers, okay? Nothing new, right? Now, much of the problem for the drivers is there's really only one product that you can earn from. That's taking a rider from point A to point B. And if the competition wants to make money, well, what do? You guys all know it, right? They either raise the price on the riders or they lower the amount that the drivers get. Okay? That's just kind of the way it's been. In both cases, it creates a lose-lose-win situation. The driver loses, the rider loses, and yet the companies win. And we at Tryp completely understand this dynamic, and we are dedicated to making rideshare better with Tryp Rides. Our goal in Tryp is to make everything a win-win-win. Okay? That's what we're doing here. Okay? And the solution, this is one of the reasons that we're giving drivers 100% of the revenue. That's an immediate win for drivers, right? I think you can all agree with that, right? Yeah. That creates our first big win, okay? Now give me a little scream if that makes sense to you guys. Woo, good, all right. Okay, so riders get to pay less for Tryp, all right? Because there's no surge pricing, we know that, right? Riders earn reward points each and every time that they use the app or they share the app with somebody else. So if I go and I share it with Stacy here and he uses it, the company's going to pay me 40 cents for every time he uses it. I mean, how good is that? Be better if my slides were quicker. So we know that. Just said that. All right, cool. Let's move on. So how do drivers earn with rides? Okay, so first of all, by providing rides. How do drivers do better? Okay. Obviously, they're going to make about 25 to 30% more than the competition, okay? And I think that that's minimum. The numbers that I've run and the numbers we've seen, okay, that's an understatement, okay? And then drivers also earn by sharing the apps themselves. So if you're a driver, si estás manejando ahora mismo y da tu app a otra persona y se úsalo, okay? Es 40 centavos. Thanks to that. I knew somebody would help me with that. I'm like, I don't usually say that word, okay? Okay, cool. Helps, you know, like you're trying to learn Spanish, this is the place to do it, right? Yeah. Come up on stage, give it a try. And what could go wrong, right? You know? No, en serio, vivimos España 3 años, pero se me olvidó esto, okay? All right, so let's continue here. And, okay, better for the riders, okay? For the riders, it's the best rates available in the industry. No surge prices ever. The lowest booking fee. We have the lowest booking fee in the entire industry, okay? So the riders aren't getting gouged, okay? And not only that, but they can request a driver. So if you're a driver, okay, you can have a booking of people that want to request you again and again. That's monumental, okay? It's not out there. We're the only ones who have it. And riders themselves can earn money from sharing the app, okay? Drivers obviously get 100% of the fare. There's transparency, okay? It's only $199 a month to drive. Unfortunately, in the transfer, my beautiful little bullets there got messed up, so that's all right, you know? They can also earn money from sharing the app, okay? So again, those drivers are in a great position as well, okay? Riders and drivers, both those apps are available on the App Stores or Google Play right now. So if you don't have them yet, go download them after this, okay? Once we have service again. We said we didn't have service, all right? So that's fantastic, all right? And really, the main difference with us, they keep 100%, okay? They keep 100% of the wait time. They keep 100% of the cancellation time, okay? They get individual merchant accounts. That means the money goes directly from the rider to the driver, okay? That's monumental, absolutely. That's monumental, right? They get their reward points, okay? We all like reward points. And those commissions on those things are paid weekly, okay? It's just awesome, folks. It's awesome. Here's one of the things I'm most proud of, okay? Most proud of is they're giving money back to anybody who is a current member of the armed services or a veteran, okay? Because we at Tryp appreciate our armed services. I love that picture. Hey, welcome to Tryp. All right, I have the good fortune of almost losing my voice already, which is not good, all right? But it'll come back. I just need some water. Of introducing our first speaker of the night, okay? Let's cue up that music. This man is with the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, Steve Owen!
Wow. How's everyone doing tonight? Awesome. Steve Mullins, Miami Dolphins, Vice President, Corporate Partnerships. I'm fired up to be here. I had no idea what to expect, and I tell you, this has blown my mind. So, couple things. About 5 years ago, the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium invested over $700 million into the stadium. And we did it for two reasons. One, to have the best fan experience in sports, and two, to become a global entertainment destination. And as a result, over the last few years, you've probably seen us host events and celebrities and artists like Taylor Swift, U2, Jimmy Buffett, and actually coming soon, Rolling Stones. We've also had international soccer matches like Brazil, Colombia, Barcelona. We've hosted, obviously, the Miami Dolphins and the Hurricanes. We've had the Miami Open, which drew record crowds this year in tennis to the stadium as well. And this year in February, we'll host the Super Bowl. Along with the Orange Bowl and the National Championship game next year. There are over 2.5 million people that visit Hard Rock Stadium every year. And 33% of those fans are rideshare users. So, we understand also that when people go to games and go to the venue, that experience starts the moment they leave their driveway. It starts with you. And what's exciting is I was up here tonight to announce that Tryp is now the proud partner of the Miami Dolphins. On behalf of Miami Dolphins, we're just as proud of you. So let's go take on Miami. Let's do it.
Oh, I told you this is going to be a cool night, didn't I? I'll tell you, when I heard about that, I was like, oh, you kidding me? Really? The Miami Dolphins? I might have to become a Dolphin fan now. What do you think, Steve? I might have to switch. I'm not going to tell you what fan I am now. I'm a fan of the Miami Dolphins right now, that's for sure. So, hey, I mean, we just got so much fun for you tonight, okay? But first of all, I got a joke for you guys. I scoured the internet for a joke, okay, that was appropriate, you know? This is a rideshare joke. Okay, how many rideshare competition rideshare drivers, you know what I'm talking about, right? How many rideshare drivers does it take to screw in a light bulb? Come on, it's an old one, right? It's 10. 1 to screw the bulb in, and 9 to try to figure out the surge pricing on that damn bulb. Right? job. Hey, our next guest, okay, is the CEO of Lytel. Okay, they're a technology partner of us. I'm telling you, there are so many people scrambling to be partners with us right now. Bob's been meeting with them all morning just today, okay? This thing is hot. Everybody knows this. Okay? I'm so proud to bring up, coming up, right? Yeah, okay. Mr. Nick Newsom, the CEO of Lytel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Hey, how you doing? You ready? What's up, Miami? Man, it is pretty exciting to be a partner here. I'm having a good time. Pump up that music for a second. Pump it up. Come on. Yeah. All right. So is it always this cool in Miami? Because I thought it was pretty cool in this room when we walked in. It was nice, and I'm glad to see all the translators out there in the back. This is a special time to be here. I've been involved in a lot of startups, and it's always amazing to see something grow from these small meetings that you saw in these pictures to a room of this size and this type of energy. It's just, I'm telling you, this is the right place at the right time, and I'm so happy to be here, and thank you, Bob, for having me. You know, I'm a tech guy, and I think it's amazing that the biggest hotel company in the world has no hotels, and some of the biggest transportation companies have their vehicles, right? But one thing that they always do wrong is how they treat their people. And what's not so amazing is their culture. And when I heard about this opportunity, and I heard how Tryp is going to be treating its riders, that's what sold me and got me involved in this opportunity, in this partnership. And that's why I'm here today. I used to work for a Fortune, what was it, 100, and then it became a Fortune 50, and I think they're a Fortune 37 little company called Dell. And, you know, it was quite a ride. And, you know, I was like, you know, I don't want to do that anymore. And I went to another company, and I kind of downsized a little bit, and I went to another startup and worked for another CEO. And, you know, I thought it was going to be different, and I worked for the CEO, and it was crazy. This gentleman, very, very smart, we made a lot of money together, but he decided to build a different kitchen for himself and all the C-level suite. And kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It just kind of felt weird. You know, we were all back in one room and all the other employees in another room, and the culture was messed up. And again, I was involved in another freaking company where they weren't treating people right. And you know, what broke the straw on this was when he created his own bathroom for the C-level suite. And I was like, who needs their own bathroom for a C-level suite? I mean, everybody else is going to this bathroom, the toilets aren't working, everything's messed up, and we're walking in these like pearly white bathrooms, and he wanted to dye up like all the floors red and everything. I was like, okay, this is too crazy, I'm getting out of here. So started my own business, and really kind of with the culture of you gotta treat everybody right. Has anybody ever seen a triangle and, you know, like CEOs up at the top, right? Right, I like to flip that triangle. I like to put myself at the bottom. I like to support everybody up, and that's how I feel about it. So I met Tryp originally with Jeremy here. Jeremy, raise your hand up here. So Jeremy developed this little relationship here, and I got the fortunate opportunity to go meet Bob, and we had dinner in Newport Coast there. Had some good Mexican food, and my favorite kind of food. And you know, that relationship just got stronger and stronger. And he told me his vision of how he's going to treat these riders and how he treats his employees and how this partnership developed. And honestly, it was just amazing. So I fell in love with this company, and that's why we're a technology partner of Tryp. And we're ready to work those 40, 50-hour days, you know, take those calls in the middle of the night and launch tomorrow. All right. Right. You know, hopefully I don't break any rules, so I'm going to say this is my own opinion, this is out of my own accord, but I'm going to wait tomorrow, and I'm going to call up a Tryp ride and take Tryp, maybe the airport's a little too close, you know, go a roundabout way, but if there's, are there any drivers in the room? Maybe some drivers? Okay, all right, so if any of you see me hailing for a Tryp ride tomorrow, you're gonna get $1,000 cash bonus from me to you as the first trip ride. We're going to put it on social media and make this rock. All right, guys? All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right, that's cool. I'm a driver now. Okay, sign me up. Okay, where are you gonna be? Where are you gonna get that ride from? Okay. Cool. Huh? Hey, we got some guys that are coming right down to the back. I know most of you in the front rows here already have a hat in your back. So there's some guys that are gonna be coming sneaking around here that are gonna start throwing hats at you. Okay, so you might want to look for them. Yep, there they go. Okay, I saw one flying in the air. Here we go. Call it out, call it out, call it out. We got hats coming, we got hats coming. Come in. Is that it? Hey, hats just aren't for love, people, all right? I wear them a lot. We gotta protect us. Crown jewels. Crown jewels. I don't know where they're located. Yeah, just somewhere. All right, I got a big box here. It's not so pretty, but it's got some cool stuff in it, okay? What it has in it is a bunch of raffle tickets. So pull out your raffle tickets. You got a raffle ticket when you came in. Okay? Maybe? Sorry, I wasn't on registration. All right, sorry. What I am raffling off here, though, is a 1-year subscription for a driver to drive full-time on Tryp rides, okay? If you're not a driver and you have a driver on your team, it is transferable. Okay, that's cool, all right? We want this to get into the hands of a driver. So, if you got one, pull it out. There's like some knives in here. And the winner is 026 8 0 4 8 0268 048. Come on now. Yeah. Yeah, come on, man. Are you driving right now? He's driving right now! Yeah! Congratulations. What's your name? Patrick. What's your last name? Batista. Patrick Batista. Yes. Awesome, man. Welcome. Welcome to the team. You betcha. Enjoy that. Okay, don't spend it all the time, all right? All right. Woo. We're going to do another little competition, okay? Because I know a lot of you drove here, right? Okay? Some of you maybe drove here from Florida. Who drove here from Florida? Yeah? Okay, put your hands down. Okay. Who drove here from one state over from Florida? So what's here? We've got Alabama, we've got Georgia, we've got North Carolina. Man, my U.S. history teacher would be so proud of me right now. Yeah, we got a lot of those. Okay, put your hands down. How about Atlanta? I know a lot of you got here. You know from Atlanta? Yeah, got some Atlanta people? Okay, let's go across the Mississippi now. Anybody like just across the Mississippi, like Colorado or anything like that? I know now I'm getting dicey with the U.S. history. Like, Bill, I don't believe you have that. I think it's on the other side, you know? That's okay. How about California? Somebody drive here from California? Really? Who drove here from California? Show me. Come up here. Come up here. California, come up here. Come here. Come on. Who drove here from California? Come on. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Oh, yeah. Come on up here. Yeah, Santa Monica. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I swear. Yes. Nice job. Whoa, there's a lot of you. You guys all go from California, really? Yeah, did you guys like rent a bus? You flew it. All right, but who? Hey, this is quite the crowd from California about here. I think there's something going on in California here for sure. Okay, but who drove? Who drove? Okay, we got a $100 gift card for you guys to get you home. Okay, $100 gift card. So what I want you to do, okay, is off to the side, if we can. Vincent, is that going to be you that's going to take their names? All right, Vince. Okay. See, we good with this? All right. Vincent is going to help you. He's going to get your names. We're going to hook you guys all up, all right? We're going to help you get home, all right? Hey, thank you for driving all the way out here. You guys are awesome. You are awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, see Vincent, or anybody from the team, Eric or Nick, you can help them. Thank you, Eric, thank you. Okay, hey, good job. Hey, drive safe, all right? Don't get crazy on the way home, all right? That's pretty cool. I didn't expect that. All right, our next speaker. Woo. That was very fun. I did not expect that. I don't know if anybody else did. So, our next speaker is the president of GigaSavvy. Okay, GigaSavvy is a marketing partner of ours. Okay, we're very excited about this. We have a mic for you though. Where'd our mic go? Thank you. Okay. Give a big Tryp welcome to Mr. Kyle Johnson.
Hey guys. So, marketing is important, would we agree? You guys want riders in your cars? I think that's our job. Can we get the slides? There we go. So we're GigaSavvy. We're in Southern California, so all those people that came up and drove, do you guys really drive or did you fly like us? Really drive? All right. So we're in Orange County. We're just south of LA. We've been around, let's see. There we go. About us, we've been around about 11 years. So I helped start the company about 11 years ago. We've got about 30 plus people, all in-house. A lot of agencies that you guys might know kind of outsource everything. We've got them all in our office, so a close, tight-knit group of folks. So we're gonna work real closely with Nick and his team as we start to roll this all out. We're the #1 most awarded agency actually in Orange County. I guess that's giving myself some kudos, but it's a big deal. Who are we? So GigaSavvy sounds digital, doesn't it? Giga sounds kind of digital, right? So that's kind of how we started 11 years ago. We've grown the agency quite a bit since then. We've got around a lot of talent around the creative side, the media side. So when it comes to how we're going to help Tryp, we're going to be putting basically our entire team on this effort. We're big believers in what we've kind of heard so far, what the company stands for, especially giving it back to you guys as the drivers. We've watched Uber and what they've kind of done, and I think there's some mistakes there, right? So we represent marketing for humans. So I think digital has got this connotation of SEO, Google, social media, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And there's a lot more to that. And I think that this fits really, really well with what you guys are doing out there and what Tryp is doing as a company, which is connecting with people, right? And I think at the end of the day, that's what we're going to be trying to do with the marketing, connecting with people on an emotional level, not just making sure we show up on Google, making sure that the app works really well, but making sure that the message is a human message that really resonates with the audience and really resonates with the drivers or the riders that are going to fill your guys' cars. So, art and science, right? This is what I just talked about with digital. You know, it's not just about showing up on the app. It's not just about making sure drivers have riders. It's making sure that the whole community, the people around what we're really trying to drive and what we're really trying to connect, it all comes together both on the art side and the science side. So we're not just doing the tech side, we're also doing the human side, the art side. So we cover all of these things for Tryp, right? I've got the whole staff, basically, right? All 30 plus people working behind this group, across the strategy team, the creative team, generating all these campaigns, the messaging, et cetera, and then the media team. So when we talk about this big Dolphins partnership, are you guys excited about the Dolphins partnership? Yeah. That's one piece of the media mix that we're going to be bringing home to make sure everybody in this country eventually, maybe beyond, knows about this brand and knows why it's better than the competition. So, as I mentioned, we do this all in-house. I think we really like this quote because vision without execution is just hallucination, right? We can talk about all these ideas, we can cheer, we can get excited, but the execution part is the most important part, and that's why we're here to help Tryp with. So how are we partnering together, right? Tryp and Giga Savvy. This is what we believe, right? First and foremost, we believe in the people, not just all you in the room here, but the people that started this thing. So Bob, David, everybody that we've really met, I think that dream has been communicated to us, and it's something that the entire company, honestly, all 30 plus of us are very, very excited about. I think the opportunity, which is why you guys are here, right, is kind of a big deal. I think this is kind of what everybody assumes. I think we went into a room and said, oh, we got an idea. It's kind of like Uber. It's kind of like Warby Parker. It's kind of like Birchbox. Kind of like Snapchat, Etsy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then maybe the guy on the other side of the table with all the money said, yeah, you guys are like Uber. Yeah, I think that's kind of the easy thing to say, but that's not how this went down. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this thing because they saw this opportunity, right? They saw that ride sharing is growing every single day. And by 2021, we're going to have a massive, massive amount of people looking to hail rides, and we want to make sure we're in the forefront. So why else did we get on board? Why did I put my whole agency on this particular thing, right? Because we love challenger brands. We love brands like Tryp that look at Uber and look at Lyft and say they're doing something wrong, and we've got a better way to do it. Let's talk about PayPal. PayPal seems kind of old maybe right now, but when they came out, this is a 2016 Super Bowl commercial, and they really embody what it is to be a challenger brand and what it is to be Tryp in this particular market. We thank PayPal for making money new again. They took an old thing, right? Old presidents on the bills, and they said, that's not how we do it. We're going to trade money over the internet, over apps, over cell phones, et cetera, and they revolutionized how we pay for things these days. Bird. Something to think about, right? As drivers of cars, these are scooters that are motorized all around in every single country. So we thank Bird for helping us kind of go car-free. They've revolutionized things, and I think Tryp's going to revolutionize things too. Zoom Pizza. We haven't heard of this because it's really growing in the Silicon Valley at the current moment, but you can drop a pin anywhere you want, and someone will show up with pizza. Everybody like pizza? They're gaining market share with stories of a guy on top of a mountain who dropped his pin and asked for a piece of pizza, and some guy with a bike rides up to the top of the mountain and gives him a pizza. Dollar Shave Club for making razors more human. You guys seen all their commercials and their spots about the guy getting tased in the CVS because he asked to buy a razor? He just wants to get behind the counter, get behind that glass case, and the security guard tases him. I really wanted to show this video, but I'm not sure the videos are working. So who are we challenging? You guys driven Uber before? I think it was hard for me. I'm like coming and getting all excited for this event. And I'm like, I gotta show up at the airport and take an Uber from the airport to here. I still don't know why I keep choosing Uber. I don't really like their company. I don't like what the CEO stands for whatsoever. But it's in my phone, so I continue to use it. I've been waiting for something like this to come up, just like all of you. And Lyft. I think we feel like they're kind of doing the right thing, right? They're kind of taking Uber's coattails and saying, hey, we're for the people and this and that, but it's the same problems. It's the same problems with a pink mustache. So how are we going to do it? How are we going to make this thing a reality, right? I think we're all really excited about this, but it's going to take a lot of execution, a lot of hard work, and a lot of things that are going to have to happen in our favor to really, take down these big behemoths. Uber with their $5 billion losses in a quarter. I'm like, well, it's kind of scary, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to take something. So we look at challenger brands in different categories, right? When we're looking at a brand who's got to take down the big guy, we say, are they going to be this next generation brand? Are they going to be this irreverent maverick, the feisty underdog like Under Armour who took some market share from Nike? MailChimp who's real and human? All these kind of things. And we look at Tryp and we say, we're going to be the people's champion. We're going to be the company that all these people rally around and actually feel like we're giving back to the people you guys heard, right? It's a company that's going to give back to the drivers and actually create a community that's based in giving back and based in giving people a better ride for all. I think that's really what we're trying to accomplish, right? So if Tryp can be the people's champion, I really do think this can be a better ride for all. When the driver's happy, I talked about taking all these Ubers everywhere that I've gone over the last few while. Every Uber driver, and a lot of you guys in the audience, no offense, but you're kind of angry when I get in that car. You're not that happy. You tell me about how you don't like Uber that much, and I don't blame you. The system was kind of messed up. So we're here to create a better ride for all. I think when the drivers are happy and we give back to the drivers, the riders are happy, and everybody enjoys this particular amazing thing, which is ride sharing, which has truly revolutionized how we get from point A to point B. And we're really, really excited to be on board with the Tryp. And thank you guys for having me.
That wasn't my heart, so good. I'm not sure what that was. Oh my, are you guys playing a video? Am I supposed to be on the stage right now? No. All right. Cool. All right, hey, that's pretty cool, huh, guys? What do you think? That's an awesome partner for us, okay? Everybody wants to play as our sandbox. So nice. All right, we got the box back. Doesn't have the tape on them. You guys know what's in here. I believe that a lot of people have raffle tickets now, right? We got a bunch of them back there, so we're gonna raffle off another free year. Okay. Here we go. Going down to the bottom now. Okay. Winner is 0, 2, 6, 8, 2, 7, 7. 028 0268 277. Anybody? Anybody? Are you checking your tickets? You guys are looking for me. Somebody like fumbling through it? No? 026 8277. Nobody? All right. Here we go. 0267 4 1 9 0267 419.
All 9?
You're 777. You got winner? Yeah! Come on up, come on up. Awesome, man. Oh, I believe you. I believe you. What's your name? Alex, where are you from, Alex? From Argentina. Are you planning on driving home? That's going to be tough, man. That's going to take a while. You do? You live here where? In Miami or? Excellent. Hey, congratulations. Okay. Yeah, lovely to see you. Yeah, so, yeah, just go ahead and see. Oh. All right, hold on a second. You got a duplicate. Let me see yours. All right, you guys are both winners because yours is down on the floor right now. You're good. All right, fantastic. And you guys can see Vincent right there. Vincent's going to hook you up, okay? Hey, oh, I'm sorry. Hey, what was your name? What's your name? Where? Oscar. Where are you from, Oscar? Chihuahua, which is Mexico. Bienvenido. Gracias. Okay, good job, good job. Woo. Okay, now put it back in the box. Vincent, take these over here. Right. Okay, hey, our next speaker is somebody who is so awesome for this company, okay? She is on our board. She comes from Overstock.com, where she was the president of Overstock.com. This woman is a heavy hitter. I am so pleased to introduce Stormy Simon.
Hey guys, this is insanity. I don't know what I expected when I was flying out from Utah, but this has exceeded everybody's expectations. Welcome to the most exciting party of the year, with the most exciting revolutionized rideshare app that we will see potentially in our lifetime, and welcome to being a part of it. I definitely wanted to say, mi llama Tempesta. That's my Spanish, that's all I got. My name is Stormy. Tempesta means storm. That's it. It's sad. It's true. Okay, I've got minutes here. Look at this, I put the clicker in my pocket already. That's how this is gonna go. All right, so I met with Bob a few months ago. He asked me to be on the board, and I couldn't have been more excited. And I want to tell you all the reasons I'm excited. We've talked about some of them today, but Bob asked me to share my story with you. And it's a bit of personal along with some professional, but I'm super honored to have you as an audience today. My journey to Tryp starts here. Oh, there it is, my journey to Tryp. Starts now. I was born, just outside of Chicago. South side, and if you're from Chicago, I'll tell you where, Hammond, Indiana. Yes, that's where I'm from. And I was born to a Polish family. My grandparents immigrated over, and my father and my mom were raised in that area, and that's where they spent their whole lives. But we lived across the street from the projects. So in my early days, I was a minority. And all of my friends were very colorful, and I loved it there. But in 1973, when the Equal Opportunity Employment laws came, my dad was one of the white guys laid off. And my parents had this moment, they had 4 children, we didn't have a lot of money, and they had this moment where they had to pivot and kind of stop and think about what they're gonna do, how they're gonna feed us. And they thought, you know what, we've been here our whole lives, we don't have enough money to move to a big city, why don't we just go west? So that's what we started doing. We packed up. Oh, wait, okay. And we went west, but first I gotta tell you about coexisting. This is very important. My parents raised us with this idea of everybody belonged. Everybody belonged, we were all equal. Everybody had a place in life. And they did that by showing us that hard work is what mattered. If everybody does their jobs, we're all gonna get further. If we hold hands and lock arms with each other, no daylight between us, we just get a little further. But every day you get up and you work hard, and that will be your path to success. We didn't talk about college. We didn't have money to go to college. There was never a chance I was going to college growing up. No one in my family is going to college. My brother has now, though. It's exciting. But they did. That's what they taught us. Coexist. The other thing they did that was really unique, I learned later when we moved, was they had us on this independent journey to spirituality. So there's 6 people in my family. We have 5 religions. 5. And that was all self-directed. They always wanted us to be who we could be, find your own personal relationship, explore that spirituality, but be you all the way. Work hard, be authentic. And that's how we coexisted. So this family moves to Utah. Now, knowing about the multi-religious portion of our family that I'm going to go through right now, we landed in Utah in 1974. My dad, Methodist. My mom was Protestant. Catholic brother, Mormon brother, Catholic sister, and me. Now, I was a baby, so I was quite confused by the time I was going to churches and stuff, but I always knew in my heart, like, we were all accepted there. It was all good. So we go to Utah, and I don't know if you know much about Utah, but in 1973, I went from being a minority to a place where there was no minority. And we immediately felt like we didn't belong. We did, right away. It's like, oh my gosh, this isn't, what we're used to. This culture isn't here. The other thing that kind of put us on our heels, I was a little kid, I was going to my friend's house, and I'd be like, they'd say, "You going to church on Sunday?" I'd say, "Yeah, I was going to go try the Methodist church this week with my dad." And then next week I was going to go to the Catholic church with my brother. And they said, "Oh, honey, you're never going to heaven. And neither's your family. Nobody's going to go. You're not going to see anybody there." And I was 9 years old when I heard this from multiple neighbors. Utah is different nowadays because a lot of people have moved there. But back then it was really a little traumatizing. And I felt like an outcast, kind of growing up my whole life, and just kind of looking for that place that I belonged. Couple notes. Oh wait, I gotta grab one. Yeah, that was it. A few what's coming up. So we get there, we're all on our own. I'm feeling a little rebellious, right? The baby starts kicking in, and I'm like, I'm gonna stand alone, I'm gonna be so different. And at 17 years old, I get pregnant. Now, my parents were very conservative, given all of the, freedoms that we had growing up, but they were very, very conservative, and it was a big what? It was the second Utah what? They said, "Stormy, what are you doing?" I said, "Mom, I'm in love," right? So you're forced to make a decision at this very young age, and all of them are hard decisions. I would have went ahead, had my baby, 40s before I turned 18, I got married, kind of different. And that went on for a couple of years, and it was great, right? Totally in love. I got pregnant with my second child. I was 20 years old, and I didn't love him anymore. So that brought about some confusion and change. I called my parents. I was living in San Diego, and I said, "You gotta come get us. Look how cute these kids are. Oh my God." Oh. So I had to move back in with my parents. I moved back to Utah. I completely have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. It's like I have to go to college. I have to go find my path. I have to find my way. But first I had to get on welfare because I didn't have any money to support myself. And I was so ashamed. But my parents said, "Stormy, we have worked hard our entire life. We have paid into the system just in case our family ever needs it. Don't be ashamed, honey. You'll be proud. You hold your head up high and you get out there and you accept that assistance. But you better only do it for a minute because you got to get your ass up and you got to go to work and you got to get off that state assistance." And that was exactly what I did. So I started, that's exactly what I did. For 10 years, between 1991 and 2001, before I walked into Overstock.com, I held a variety of jobs, none of them with a career. I started college 3 times, and every time I found a job that I liked better. I was like, gosh, this is so much more exciting. I really want to put my efforts into this. I'm really learning. And all of my jobs, all of my education was done with the boots on the ground, with that hard work, with getting up every day and doing my best. So, 2001, I had just moved to Vegas for a startup. I'm addicted to startups. Moved out there to do some event planning. I was a radio promotion director. I did some on-air work. I did some event planning. Lands me in Vegas. It was July 2001. September 2001, September 11th happens. And Vegas comes to a standstill. And so did my heart. I really went back to a time of searching and wondering, what was it exactly I was going to do with my life? What am I supposed to do now? Call my mom, move back in, get out to Utah. I have about 3 months of dollars. And that's if I live with my mom. Couldn't afford it to move out with those kids on my own. About 6 weeks into this journey with my mom, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to be an adult and spend time with my mom. It's gonna be the best. Every day we're gonna get up and have coffee. It's gonna be so much fun. 6 weeks in, I was like, oh my God, I have to spend all my time with my mom. I can't believe. So it kind of changed, and I got really anxious to go out and hit the pavement again. I went to a temp agency, and I wound up on the doorstep of Overstock.com. The first question I asked when I got to Overstock, what's e-commerce? 2001, nobody was doing it. There was Amazon, there was eBay, and there was Overstock. Books, auctions, everything else. I mean, think about Overstock. We were the very first to ship large rugs, couches, big pieces of furniture in 2001. You think about the logistics, the supply chain, everything that's here today wasn't there then. So we had done quite a bit on some old technology. I'm pulling up my notes. Yep, I'm gonna tell you a story. That's right. My first job at Overstock was actually in a business-to-business department. We had 2 websites at the time, Overstock.com and OverstockB2B.com. That was my job. It's the worst job I ever had. You'd have to walk in every day, and I spoke to a lot of you guys in the past couple of days, and I know some of you have been in this environment of, like, Glenn Ross. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but just a boiler room where you're making calls, and the manager at the time was like, 70 calls a day, kids, you gotta get 70 calls a day, and we were hammering the phone, and I joined this group of 4, and I was the only female. Turns out at the time, we had this huge warehouse full of luggage that we had to sell. And the commission on this $1.2 million sale, wholesale prices, was gonna be pretty hefty. So all 3, right when I entered, all 3 of these guys every day, they were like, you go in, you make your calls. All 3 of these guys were like, dude, calling people, you want some luggage? I got some luggage for you. You want some luggage? You want some luggage? And I was looking at all the small lots, like, we have some really cute sunglasses, and here's some jewelry we could sell. And I was scared of the luggage because it was so big, and I had just started, and it was this massive sale. And I thought, wow, these guys really know a lot more than me. I'm just gonna let them sell the luggage, and I'll sell these little sunglasses and bracelets and stuff. About 6 weeks in, my phone rings. Now, I've called tons of retailers across the United States trying to convince them to not shop with their salesperson, don't use your catalog, come online and we'll save you money. It's pretty hard to sell. My phone rings one day, and it's this guy named Gary from Colorado, right? And Gary's like, Stormy, did you mention we have luggage? And I said, yeah, I did. He goes, I think I have someone that wants to buy the luggage. And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna sell this luggage. Turns out, I sold the luggage. The reason I sold the luggage, because I had built a relationship with Gary. Gary and I had been talking every day for a while. We kind of got to know each other. I got to know his needs. I got to know everybody's needs. But I never tried to sell that luggage. That was the first time the company had their eyes on me. Like, who is this girl that came in? What was she doing? What I found about e-commerce that was so comforting was the fact that there was no one in the room that had a college education on e-commerce. I was absolutely able to walk in there and have an idea and raise my hand. And the fear of being lazy and not providing that hard work was kind of what kept me going. Someone just asked me, why did you do it? Why did you do it? I think it was the fear of failure. The other thing that happened during my luggage sale was I placed my first order, and it was amazing. All of a sudden, sitting from my seat, I click a button, and all of a sudden, I have this amazing package at my door. I open it up, it's the best deal ever. We had the best deals ever back then. And I got it. Holy moly, we can revolutionize the way people acquire things, the way they shop. It was the best experience. I consider myself a sports shopper, so it was a very good experience and rewarding for me. But I got it. And this whole time I kept thinking, oh, I'm gonna leave this company soon. all of a sudden, I thought of every reason that I wanted to stay, and I started raising my hand. Like, hey, one of the issues we had was customer service technology, right? How are we going to get consumers in this brand new world to put their credit cards into their computer and then trust that we're going to deliver? How are we going to do that? Well, I raised my hand and I came up with a campaign called Discover the Secret of the Big O. Because I said, I think we can teach the customers through branding. I think we can teach them to trust us through a quick commercial. I think if they know our name and what we do, they will come. And it turned out they did. In fact, revenue started growing in triple digits. It was off the charts, and the company's growing, and our consumer base is growing, and everything's great, except our technology. Because the technology hadn't advanced, right? While the industry did, we were sitting on old technology. I became VP from this commercial. I just can't talk with a hair in my mouth. I became VP from that commercial, but as we grew, technology's breaking, I raised my hand again, because I want customer care. And it was so important. I had been the consumer this whole ride with Overstock. I'd been looking at it through my first experience of that joy I got when I got my package. I was the consumer, regardless of what title I got or what achievement or success I happened to stumble across. I was always in the consumer seat. And I wanted that department. I changed the name from customer service to customer care to make a point, and the whole industry followed, and the point was heard. We went in, we changed all the technology, because even though, like, you've got to think about it, it's applicable to Tryp. Even though you have millions of people on a piece of technology, it's not the best it can be, right? We knew it wasn't the best it could be. We could band-aid it, we could keep it together. But the real advancement for ourselves and our consumers was getting onto new technology. And that's exactly what we did. We started winning awards, we received accolades. It was amazing. But at the end of the day, we never stopped innovating. My journey at Overstock was amazing. I started as a temp. I was making $12 an hour. The ability of hard work, digging down, believing in myself, raising my hand, signing up for unknown things, it's like we're doing today, worked for me. And I think going back to my parents saying that that hard work matters can make it work for all of us in this room if we're just given the chance. 2016, I was at the pinnacle of my career. I was winning awards. I was getting recognized from groups I never thought would ever know my name, doing things I never dreamed of. And I wasn't happy. I was burnt out. I'd done 15-hour days for 15 years. And I loved it, but I saw it through. Overstock wasn't a startup anymore, right? I saw it all the way through. And I decided to quit. Now that decision didn't come quickly or easily, but I was thinking about all those things I didn't do for 15 years. I was 47 years old. My kids had moved out. I was a young mom. They had moved out. They were having kids, which makes me a la-la, because we never say the G word at my house, ever. And I know, it's bad. But the kids had moved out. I had lost my mom. Like, real life had passed me by. So I quit. I really did. And I went and sat on a mountain for a minute, and I was looking over the Rockies. There was this shiny object coming over the Rockies. So I was looking for my passion. I was looking for that next thing to get me going. And it was happening in Colorado. 2014, they went recreational for marijuana, right? They were going to start selling it. I'll clap with you. I'm not ashamed. Yes, huge time in history. And all I could think about was how a prohibition was going to end in my lifetime. I'd read all the books about, Al Capone and alcohol and all of these things and how the government intervenes and everything that happened. And I was excited. So I went to Denver and worked in a I became an agriculturalist, basically. And every day, I would go into this 90,000 square foot warehouse and care for these plants. Now, I thought going in, oh, this is the big green rush. I'm gonna go make a bunch of money. It's gonna be amazing, recreational, woo-woo. But what I learned was something totally different. I met young kids that are like 22 years old, tattooed, skater kids, people you probably wouldn't go up to and ask for advice, but they worked alongside me. And all of these kids had moved from other states to come, they'd been diagnosed with something, Crohn's disease, MS, many different ailments. But they, instead of taking pharmaceutical or their doctor's advice, they moved to Colorado to study plant medicine. Not only did they study it, they dug in and they started teaching me. There's so much suppression and political movement around this plant. It's created prison systems, it's put people in jail that don't deserve to be here, and now it's allowing a lot of people to make money off it while others still sit in jail. And I found myself going, oh, I can't make a dime off this plant. Not recreationally, it's just not right. But I was very passionate about the medicine. And I met a woman named Tracy Bryan, Canna Kids. Her daughter has cancer, a brain tumor. And Tracy, when she found out her daughter at 8 months old was gonna be on chemo, she said, hell no, there's got to be another answer. And she started asking doctors around the world to get involved with her. What do you do when your child has cancer? Today, Sophie, her daughter, is 6 years old. There are studies going on in California hospitals right now on this little girl and on others, and it's all done because Tracy Ryan pushed the plant, and that's where I started finding my passion in cannabis. However, I didn't forget my recreational love, right? I joined the board of High Times. I'm on the board of Canna Kids, joined the board of High Times. I do believe in the civil right to have this plant. I believe everyone should be able to grow it. I don't think the government should own cucumbers, and I don't think they should own cannabis, but that's just my personal opinion. This is what I'm doing now. Two of these companies, M-Track and OPU, are both on the blockchain. I'm gonna talk about M-Track for a second because I'm gonna transfer into why I'm so excited about Tryp. That was my journey. M-Track is in the cannabis industry. In the cannabis industry, you are not allowed to take cash and put it in your bank because, you know, the feds think it's an illegal practice. Side note, M-Track, built on a blockchain platform, licensed through a third party, it's the one step of separation, was able to get these businesses that are treated unfairly, get their money tracked through a blockchain ledger, which means it's immutable forever and ever, and the banks felt safe. That's what the blockchain can do. That's what drew me to that. That's the one solution I did add to the cannabis industry, something I'm really proud of, but it also started getting me more involved with the blockchain. And pretty soon, takes me to right here. That was my journey to here. We all have journeys to right here. But it takes me to Bob. So there's a few things you can take away from me professionally right now. I love innovation. I'm addicted to the startup. I absolutely am in love with the customer service industry across all industries. The blockchain is where it's all headed. And I love Bob. I just love Bob. Every single thing that I just listed are qualities that Bob has brought to it. So our first meeting, so Bob and I met years ago, or we were at least in each other's circle, when he was building shopping.com, had power in his punch. I knew he was just blowing hot air, right? He knew what he was doing. When he talks to consumers, he knows what he's talking about. Talks about apps, he knows what he's talking about. So we go and sit down and have lunch, and Bob's not talking about apps, and he's not talking about his technologies. He's talking about you guys. He's talking about drivers and the inequality in this industry and how they almost have to work for free. I think it was keeping him up at night. You know, he saw the daylight, passionate about answering the inequalities that you guys face, passionate about getting the money in your pockets, passionate about thinking about your families. And all of those things, I started thinking, wow, I've been running around the cannabis world, the e-commerce world, and never have I come across anyone who actually built selflessly a platform for someone else in the way he did. I think that's right. It's astounding. You guys, we've gone over the menu-based subscription plans and all of the benefits for you, but as a consumer, I just want to talk about the benefits for me. Yes, no surcharges. Excellent. I get to pick my driver again. But that blockchain thing, as a female that gets in a car with strange men all the time, right? It's a scary thing. It can be a scary thing. But the idea that that blockchain can provide a layer of protection by giving me a verification code and you a verification code is the game changer for me as a female feeling safe when I get in cars with strangers. Super important. And the consumer, of course, you know, getting some rewards and stuff doesn't hurt. My favorite thing that you've done, Bob, is that 15% equity. I will sign up with anybody who's willing to keep 15% equity for the people that will help make this successful. Yeah, it's not happening today, guys. So we've talked about change. The only change left here is to get the consumers to click a different button. I don't think it's going to be hard because I am a consumer and I get to choose where I ride. And I choose companies that choose to do better for their workers. And it's so important today that you remember that. Consumers will choose as long as we educate them. I think that rideshare just got the app it's been wanting. I think that you guys have the opportunity to truly become grassroots entrepreneurialism, or entrepreneurs, and start getting ahead versus just staying equal in your industry. I commend Bob for doing it. I thank you guys for letting me be a part of it, and I look forward to the trip.
Oh yeah, I told you she was cold. Hey, I want to tell you guys a little story, okay? I was in a competitor's car last weekend, as a matter of fact. And I was in DC, and he was taking me, somebody from DC. Yeah, I love DC, I swear that. So the driver was taking me to the airport. And I talk a lot, as you guys can see. I'm like, whoa, I'm always talking to people, you know, I love people. And I said to him, hey, what are you making on this ride? It was maybe about a 6-mile ride. Like, what are you making? He says, oh, I think I'm probably making like $4, okay? I'm like, how much do you think they're taking on the ride? How much do you think I'm paying? He's like, oh, I think I'm probably, you know, maybe I make about 60%. I said, no, not even close. They're charging me $13. So I'm really glad that he didn't hit the car in front of him, looking back at me, because I'm like, dude, the road, you know, because he was like, what? Okay, so I tell you this story not because you haven't heard it a million times, because I know you guys have, okay? I tell you this story to make a point about transparency, okay? Because with Tryp, you know what you're going to make, okay? If you were to take my app as the driver and your app as, my app as the rider, your app as the driver, and look at them, that's going to be the same amount, okay? You're going to know, which is one thing that's obvious. I mean, like, you know, we value the other competition. They do not value the transparency, okay? They don't value the drivers, okay? But I guarantee you, they know who we are. As a matter of fact, there might be some spies back here, right? Hi, where are you? Where are you? I know you're interested in what's going on here, okay? What up? Yeah, take a back seat. It's very cool what we have going here. I mean, we all know that, right? So at this point, I would like to get you guys up on your feet a little bit, okay? Just get on up, shake it out, because we're going to send a message to the okay? Here we go. person part of our company, I'm telling you. Like, this guy works tirelessly. First of all, he's a newlywed, okay? I'm gonna have you stand up, okay? This is his newlywed wife. He lets him come and play with us for hours at a time, okay? Thank you. Thank you. I think all of us can say thank you. I know my wife would be like, I don't know about that. Okay, we've been married for 20 years, you know. She tells me what I do, and I do what she tells me to, okay? Taha Abbasi has been tirelessly working on this awesome technology that we have that makes everything possible. All of it, okay? Give a big Tryp Nation welcome to our CTO, Taha Abbasi!
Big hand to all of you. Stand up and look around, guys. Just look around. So, I'm here today to talk about creating a better Tryp together. But before we get into that, I want to take a minute to introduce myself. And I think it's a bit important to do that so that you guys understand the kind of people that are here to support you. It's not to brag about our company or how cool or awesome we might be. We are, because we hang out with you guys. But it's to really help you understand the tools, resources, the talent, and the dedication that goes behind making something phenomenal possible, making today possible. So my name is Taha Abbasi. I'm Chief Technology Officer. I'm honored to serve as Chief Technology Officer for each and every one of you. And what that basically means is that I work for you. If you're a writer, if you're a driver, an influencer, a driver influencer, or if you're any one of the team members that are part of the Tryp corporate team, I work for you. And a lot of you have seen that in essence. But who am I? And why am I here? Why is the team that I'm bringing on to Tryp going to take us to compete and dominate against companies like Uber and Lyft? So I'll tell you a little bit about my background. Let's go to the next slide. I've been a software engineer since about the time that we still had hard keyboards on our phones. You guys remember Nokia's, Motorola's, right? Now you probably can't type without a touchscreen anymore, right? But I've had a good fortune throughout that time to work for some pretty cool companies. I've built some great technologies for some of the most prestigious global brands, and I've led teams that have then built pioneering technologies on this planet and outside in the solar system as well. So we'll talk about that a little bit. One of those companies happens to be a team that I actually led. This team had one of my own family members in it, actually. My sister was part of the crew that went out. And this team of engineers developed a payload that was sent to outer space. So this is us making the payload at the Wells Flight Facility in NASA, and you'll see in the next picture. That's my sister, brilliant sister. If you're watching right now on the live stream, that's Tuba. That's some of the engineers from the university. These guys put this together. Let's go over to the next slide. And the cool thing about this is NASA allows you to put something personal in this payload. So the team that went out, I'm from Pakistan, a lot of people were as well. They actually put a Pakistani penny in there. So we argue we have the most valuable penny because it went out to space, came back, and we still have it. So if we play this video, let's see if it plays. You'll see the rocket launching. Might take a minute. So that's the Tryp launch that we're here today. Who's excited about our launch? is it's not about the work you do now, it's about how you do that work. And I think a lot of you who met me on the first video call, I always told you I was going to be transparent. Even when it was going to be difficult, I was going to tell you what was going on. If we had a problem, I was going to share that with you, and then I was going to tell you how we're going to fix that problem. These guys saw that. In 2015, the same team that sent out that rocket to space and brought it back, they invited the same team the next year to work in Pasadena, California on the Velocity rover that's in Mars. So this is a 2-scale version of that. Again, super proud of this team. Go ahead and go to the next slide. That's me being a little funny over there. This is a not 2-scale version. I'm not on Mars, there's no oxygen there as of yet. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. That's again my sister, myself, just messing around. And all of this led us to learning some really cool stuff. You guys realize that sometimes you're using your phone over here, and we had some signal issues here. Did anybody have signal issues in here with the internet earlier? Yeah? So when you send a command to Mars, it takes 14 minutes for that command to go to Mars, and then another 14 minutes for that command to come back. So you don't know if you're trying to click a button, if that button worked or not, if the rover turned around or not for 28 minutes. You can do something, go get a cup of coffee, come back, and then you'll find out. But we learned some cool things there, which at that time we applied in Southeast Asia at a small company that you might have heard of called, let's go to the next slide. National Geographic Channel. So I built the Earth Day run for them with these guys. Again, you guys know some of the hours I put in. The team that's building Tryp right now actually helped build the technology for National Geographic Channel in Singapore for up to 5 million users. And we built their Earth Day run app, working 22 hours a day for 3 weeks straight. And some of you guys who met me know that that's actually a short day for me. So this is me, the race director. That's the CEO of National Geographic Singapore at that time, and we had a blast. Now all this cool stuff that we're doing around the world, it got us noticed, and then people wanted to hear what we built and how we're building this awesome technology, and they invited me back at the Technology and Innovation Summit in Wilmington, Delaware, to give a talk at a small place you might have heard of. These talks, they're on YouTube, they're on the internet. So let's go to the next slide. And I was able to have the honor to share a TEDx talk about how you can actually use blockchain to save lives. So I was very excited when Stormy shared what she's doing with the blockchain to solve a critical problem. All right, now all of this I said in the beginning, this is not to brag. There's a purpose to showing you this. The reason I show you this is that for you to understand there's competence behind the technology and the teams that are building the applications and the infrastructure that is going to support 15 million rides a day globally very, very soon. But it's a journey that starts with one step. And that step we're going to take tomorrow. With our first ride. Who's excited about our first ride? We're going to talk a little bit today. I'm going to share a lot of, you guys have been asking a lot of questions. I have a lot of answers finally. I have some cool things to share with you. I have some insight as to what's going to come forth. Do you guys want to hear it or do you? All right, let's go to the next slide. The problem that we're trying to solve is a simple yet sophisticated enough problem that you actually do have to sit and think for more than 5 minutes. We don't have one set of customers. In any business, you have internal customers, which are the employees that are running the company, who you have to build tools for so they can help the clients who are buying the product. And then of course you have the most important people, the clients who are actually purchasing the product or service. In our business, we have 3 sets of customers at minimum. So we know the internal company and the internal employees are customers of the technology team because we have to give them tools, resources, chat features, support ticket features so they can actually communicate with the customers. Who are the other 2? Anybody want to guess? Riders, drivers. And then we have our awesome influencers. Who's an influencer in here? Who's a driver in here? And who's a rider? Everybody. go to the next slide. There's a little bit of a problem in some of the major companies out there with Uber and Lyft. And we're gonna get into that a little bit right now. They've done a tremendous service to all of us globally in bringing rideshare to our generation. Because before if you couldn't think how you would get from here to the airport without calling a cab, renting a car, or having your own vehicle. But now you can pull up an app and you can actually request a ride and end up at the airport or any other place that you want to go for a reasonable price. The issue is, it always seems lopsided, either towards riders, rarely towards drivers. Would everybody agree with that? Yeah. We're trying to solve this problem. But before we solve this problem, we had to solve our own problems. How many of you remember the time at Tryp before I came on board?
Oh my goodness.
A few of you, okay. That's actually an indication a lot of the people that were around not here anymore before that. So when I actually applied for the role at Tryp back in January of 2019, and at that time, as soon as I applied and realized what this company was, I'm of the mentality that you cannot solve a problem until you understand until you walk more than a mile, or driven multiple miles in the shoes and the cars of the people who you're trying to solve it for. So the moment I applied and I got the first call through the interview process, I signed up to be Uber and Lyft driver, went and drove 2.5 months full time to understand the problems that drivers face and the problems that riders face, so I can come out and solve them. And that gave me some tremendous insight that I could bring to the team when I came on board. My first official day in the company was 1st of March, and Bob asked me to do an audit of what was going wrong and how could we steer the direction to where we can actually provide tremendous value. On 12th of March, our 25-person technology team came down to 2. And this is something extremely important, making hard decisions. And that's when I came online with you guys on a video call. Some of you remember over here in Florida when I announced to you that I'm doing an audit, an assessment to figure out what's right and what's wrong. We found some things that needed to change, and Bob said change them. So I want to give you a big hand to the kind of leadership that's here that's not afraid to make changes when it's difficult. Not to knock on the people that were working in the technology team before, but you guys deserve better. And that's what we were committed to. We were having some issues, we wanted to solve them, and that's where some of you guys started to see that we went from a transition of using a legacy system into building our modern technology now from scratch. From that point on, we were 2 people instead of 25, and we had to build a team back up, and then start building the technology back up, and then be here today with our apps and taking the first drives tomorrow. But let's take a minute to understand who we are and what we can expect going forward as we launch into this market, then we launch into Orlando, and then multiple markets all at the same time. Who's excited about opening multiple markets around the US in the next few months? So let's go into the next slide. So, a lot of you guys understand, you probably see this part of the story right now. But you expect it to look like that. And the reason we're competing with Uber, we're competing with Lyft, and it's easy to make fun of what they're doing. It's easy to understand that they lost $5 billion in the last quarter. But you gotta also remember, you gotta have $5 billion to lose them, right? You gotta understand, at its peak, Uber was worth more than GM, Ford, and Fiat combined. This is not a child we're dealing with. This is a worthy rival. But we are not in the business of competing with Uber. We're in the business of dominating the market. Why? Because we're not going to focus on what they're doing. We're going to focus on doing the right thing for the drivers and the riders. Which is why I believe in the vision that Bob and David set out and the rest of the team, that we are going to be the largest rideshare company this planet has ever seen. But we are in a transition stage. We are a startup who's competing with giants. And we are going to kick their butt. But part of what makes us different, part of what makes us better than any other company out there that might try to do this is, one, do you guys believe we have the right people on the team right now? Yes. Who believes our business model has got something in it? Who believes that the opportunity is right? So if you've got all these things, the most important thing out of all those is that we work together. Our corporate team does not think of our drivers and riders as an external entity. They're not necessarily partners. They're the people who build this company with us. Which is why, how many of you remember, Florida people, make some noise over here, South Florida people. When we opened up the sign-ups for South Florida, we had some problems, didn't we? You guys made some noise about those problems, and I'm going to talk about why we're different in that and solving those issues. Let's go over to the next slide. Part of what makes us different is we don't try to solve those problems by sitting in an office in Las Vegas or in Delaware or in anywhere around the world we might be, or in Texas. We solve them by coming to where the problem is, experiencing that problem with you, and then coming to a solution fast. How many of you guys like that approach better than us sitting in some room trying to come down here at that time? We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to go to each and every market, and whenever we see a problem, remember, we're not perfect, but we're getting better every day. And we're going to do that every day together with you guys. Any market we go to, we see a problem. The problems Florida has are different than the problems Texas will have, are different than the problems Salt Lake City will have. But we'll find those out by being there ahead of time, by improving market by market by market, so we can provide a better service for you guys. Let's go to the next slide. So, you guys does everybody kind of understand what to expect from Tryp? What are we? Are we a giant or are we a startup going after the giants? Right. And who's building Tryp? Is it the Tryp corporate team or is it all the Trypsters? There you go. We cannot do this without you guys. But we have to focus on what problems to solve. There are a lot of ideas that you guys have, and they're brilliant. But in the beginning, you have to have priorities. You have to focus on the things that bring the most value. And the biggest problems that we found, and we'll find out right now if you guys agree with them or not, are in three main categories. So let's go over to the next slide. We believe the biggest problems in the market right now are related to money. Are drivers getting paid a lot of money right now? So is that a worthy problem to solve? Number two, safety. Do you guys think safety is an issue? Yes. Do you think drivers and riders, let's focus on drivers for a second. Do you think drivers are fulfilled and happy driving for Uber and Lyft full time right now? No. This is our focus. This is what we focus on all day and night. This is why I'm happy to stay awake and spend my time trying to solve these problems together with my partners. Now, the money problem, let's focus on that for a second. Let's go to the next slide. And one more. How many of you guys understand why we're different from a money standpoint? You guys understand that you get how much percent of the ride fare? 100%, not 20, 30, 40, 50, 100%. But it's more than that. The reason it's more than that, I've been spending a lot of time, almost all of my time, trying to figure out how Uber and Lyft actually charge riders. We have a team of people dedicated to figuring out how they charge riders. We've got all the algorithms in place and you still can't figure it out. I think right now Dara probably doesn't know how he charges riders, because it changes every time. The amount that they charge riders is vastly different from what they claim they are supposed to be charging them, and the amount they pay drivers is vastly different than what they claim they're taking out. This is what we found in our initial observation, and I'm going to show you an example of that. Let's go to the next screen real quick. On average, when we have looked at the rates, we've matched the rates. The part Uber and Lyft, by the way, you can go to lyft.com, you can look at their fare estimator, and you can do a ride from the DoubleTree to any location, and then open our app as we launch it tomorrow and do the same ride. We actually have matched the same rates, but somehow magically our ride is cheaper. So if we're using the same formula and the same per mile and per minute rate, how are we cheaper? Where is the rest of the money going? Nobody knows. Maybe it's going to the driver. How many think they're paying drivers extra money? But guess what? When you calculate the driver pay, it's exactly what they list. So somewhere in the middle, more than that 25% that they claim is going poof. And what we're trying to do is capture all of that and put it in the pocket of who? The drivers. So guess what? Even at the same price, I know we talked about making 25 to 40% more in total, making about 25 to 40% in total more, but I put in conservative numbers. I put in all kinds of costs, and I didn't account for wait time and cancellation time. Just in ride fare, let's go to the next slide. Just in ride fare, drivers will on average make 22% more with 100% fare. This is net coming into your pocket. So if you were making $1,000 a week, you just gave yourself a $2,400 a year plus raise. You just put another $200, more than $2,400 a year, that's per month, more $200 per week raise. That's about $800 a month at that rate. How many people think $800 a month extra just for the same pricing is a good deal? And this is us just getting started. Understand, the nature of a startup, all of this could get a lot better as we scale, and it will get a lot better. But just in the beginning, right now, as the people who are going to take the first ride tomorrow are going to be earning 22% more. Who's going to be on that first ride train? But that's not all. We think about other problems too, from a money perspective. Some of you, when I was out here in Florida, asked me some serious questions. And they were good questions. I went back, I brought up those questions to Bob and David, and we lost a lot of sleep trying to figure out what are good answers to these questions. One of the questions you guys asked, how many of you liked that we waived the setup fee, and we said you won't pay the setup fee until 10 days after you drive for your background check? How many appreciated that? How many of you took advantage of that? Right? Well, we had over 1,200 drivers in 2 weeks take advantage of the pay later option. So I think the numbers told us that it was working. But you still have to pay 10 days after you start driving. And someone asked me a very good question. They said, hey, you're a startup. What if in 10 days you don't have enough rides for me that I don't make $250? Good question, right? Should we ignore that question? No. Should we be transparent and tell you what we're going to do about it? Yes. So knowing Bob, what do you think he said? Nope. 30 days? What is it? No, you gotta pay because we paid a lot. We paid a lot, and I'll get to that in a second. The resolution that Bob and David came out with, you will not pay that money until you've made 150% of that amount. This company out there is just trying to get money. We're paying for the background checks. We're paying for everything, and we're not taking your commission. We're not taking 25% or 40%, wink, wink. You get to make 150% of that amount, and then we will charge you that. Because we know we have to get riders for you in this market and any other market. Until there's riders, we're not going to charge you. Now, if you're not online at all, then there's some things that come along with that. If you're online 1 hour a month and there are ride demands, naturally there's going to be the terms and conditions like the pharmaceuticals that come along with that. But that's not all. What about your monthly fee? You still have to pay your monthly fee 30 days after you drive, right? Guess what? You're not going to pay a monthly fee until we get you enough rider demand that you can make 150% of that. Now I know a lot of drivers like that, but some of the influencers might not be happy about that. But you gotta understand, if we charge people money and they're not making money, how long are you gonna be around? We always think of the long term and do the right thing, even when it's difficult. Trust me, we would love to charge you money and operate the company and grow, but we want to do the right thing. And we will always do the right thing, whether it's difficult or not. Let's go to the next slide now. So number 2 is safety. Now you hear a lot about rider safety. How many people have heard news articles about, you know, some Uber driver or Lyft driver or this person or that person did something to a rider? Everybody's heard that, right? How many times have you heard about driver safety? Maybe 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000. I'm not saying you shouldn't care about rider safety, but everybody should be safe, not just one part of the entity. So I'm going to share some things here that talk about driver safety. How many want to hear about that? All right, let's get into it. Let's go to the next slide. So this slide is actually from the Philadelphia Drivers Group, and it talks about, this is just a well-known app with the mustache that we know about. So there's very little verification required to sign up with a rider account in most apps out there. You can put a name like Satan, or anything else for that matter, nothing against Satan, it might be a good guy, and you can make an account. Now, if this person does any damage to your vehicle, if there's any insurance claim, what are you going to say? Satan got to my car? Good luck filing that claim at Geico, right? So, let me talk about a little bit of the real world implications of something like this. What happens when you don't verify and think about safety of all users? Let's go to the next one and see if we can play the video. You might have to click it one more time to play the video. That's the tip box for the, I believe, Uber or Lyft driver. Now, I would have blurred people's faces, but this is publicly available on YouTube, so I'm not ashamed. So I put down here, do you guys think our rider rewards program is better than that? They don't have to do that because you get 40 cents per ride that you refer, 10 cents every time you drive. You don't have to do stuff like this. But guess what? There's a reason I bring up rider rewards over here. We are working on some solutions where before we let you extract your rewards, and this is actually a requirement from KYC as well, we're going to ask you to verify your identity. And let's go over to the next slide real quick. Before we go to the slide after this, I'm going to give a disclaimer. Verifying your identity for riders and drivers is going to be extremely important, and it's going to be extremely apparent after the next 2 videos I'm going to show you. Just want to show a disclaimer. It may be a bit violent, so if you guys, cover your eyes or something. So let's go ahead and play this one. Let's go to the next one after this. This is actually an executive from Taco Bell. Yeah. This was all over the news too. And I have one more after this, so we can skip over to the next one. Now I know common sense says when you're trying to sign drivers up, you shouldn't show stuff like this. But what are we about? Are we about hiding stuff or transparency and talking about it? Do you guys agree driver safety is important? Yes. Let's talk about how we're going to make it safe for drivers and riders. Let's go to the next screen. This right here cannot happen on Tryp rides. Right now it can, because there's no rider verification. But we're going to do things, and we won't figure it out all by ourselves or on the first try. But if you guys continue to work with us and tell us, we're going to make this a place where everybody wants to be. Like Stormy said, you won't have to go sell the luggage. People will be coming down saying, where's the luggage? Because this will be the place where we actually have some common sense and think about how do you make it safe. Imagine if any one of those drivers was your family member, or was your brother or sister or mother or daughter going out driving, saving up for college. Imagine what you would go through, because when you go and try to tell the police, you're going to say it was Satan who did that. So let's go to the next slide. Rider verification is an essential part of the process to ensure safety of the entire community. If you've ever gotten an email from me, my signature says, a company built by drivers, for drivers, but a safe rider community for all. And that doesn't happen unless we focus on some of these things. Let's go to the next slide. we're going to be figuring out a good way. You can hit next one more time and it might start playing. We're going to figure out some creative ways to incentivize riders to go through a verification process that is state of the art in the industry and no one else is actually doing it. So these riders will be incentivized actually because they're earning money with their referrals to put in their ID, to put in the information that they voluntarily want to. We're not requiring it, but we're creating a structure from a psychological perspective they would want to do that. It may be the wrong thing to do. In other words, it may not work, it may not take off. But should we at least try it, or should we just sit here and hope things just work out on their own? This is how we're going to run this company. Are you guys okay with that? Yes. Let's talk about the next thing on the list. So this is something that's extremely important. And this is fulfillment and happiness. Now you can't get to that until you understand what your users want, what they deal with on a regular basis. So when I talk about me going out and driving for 2.5 months full time, in that time period, I cut off all other income, had built up some savings for that, and I decided I'm going to actually earn my living as a full-time driver only so I can understand what it feels like as a driver. How many here, you don't have to raise your hand, but if you relate, you go and take your first 2 or 3 rides, and then you take the money out and you use that money to fill gas in your car. I didn't know that that was something you would have to do, but when I went out to Philadelphia and decided I'm going to do this full time to really understand, that's how you actually run your car, run your business. You have to cash out multiple times. So we understood the importance of, instant cash out is actually a really important deal. You can't just force people to cash out on a weekly basis. I also drove, when I did this, I drove for sometimes 10 hours, 12 hours to understand what it's like to be in a car for 12 hours. You know what I realized in the city of Philadelphia? There's not a single place you can go use the bathroom for free. I can figure some things out in Philly. But my amazing fiance took part in this experiment. And she had an even worse problem because there's a Philadelphia airport queue where I could make up the courage to go use that bathroom. But she went into the ladies' room and said, yeah, I'm just gonna stop driving. This experiment's not worth it. How many of you feel the same way about some of the bathrooms that are provided? Now again, one of the solutions we thought would be really cool is bathrooms around the city in different dedicated areas. Scan your app, you get in, and you get it cleaned on a regular basis. Other people, if they want to use it, they can pay 50 cents. But drivers, scan your app, good to go. Now, these are the kind of problems that actually matter, don't they? But I wouldn't have known that until I drove. So let's go to what we did about that in the next slide. When I shared some of these things with Bob, I told him about some other experiences as well. How many of you feel sometimes that when you try to contact support of some of the companies who, I don't want to bash too much. Is anyone listening to me? So when I started driving in Philadelphia, 3 days after I started driving, I got a message from Uber. And I still have this, so I'll share it someday. Where they said that a rider had given me a 1 star. And I'm like, okay, when you go out and try to experiment on something, I had screens in the back of my car that let you play games. I had a sign that said, rate me 5 stars. If you want a charger, I'd use Febreze after every ride. I was going insane. I was really trying to understand how to provide a good experience. But someone gave me a 1 star. I'm like, what's going on? Being an engineer, I'm trying to figure out what am I doing wrong. So the person reported, according to Uber, that they had an extreme facial reaction, a facial allergic reaction to a pet in my car. I drove for 2.5 months, never had a pet in my car. I would gladly give a ride to a service animal if there was one requested, never gave a ride to a service animal. So I said, it must be a mistake, tried to request back to Uber, hey, something's wrong. I never gave a ride to a pet. They responded by saying, please fill out this accident form, as if the accident form they sent me was about 2 cars hitting each other. And I'm like, How does a car accident have anything to do with a rider giving me 1 star because of an allergic reaction? I'm trying to talk to them, no one's listening. I try to go to their Twitter and say, hey, I got like you can't deactivate my account. I'm still trying to figure out how this works. I'm actually worried I gotta get a job at Tryp, man. How am I gonna get a job if I don't know how to ride there? You know, it's serious. I want to be here today if they deactivated my account because I couldn't tell mom what was going on. So I'm like, all right, I'll apply for Lyft. But they got back to me on Twitter and they're explaining to me how their ratings work. They said you can't change the rating, you can't take it away. Even if you don't have a pet, just go do more drives. How am I going to do more drives when you deactivated my account? How many can relate with that? Am I crazy or is this happening to other people too?
Yeah.
So, I'm going to claim you probably have had some of this experience with us too. But, we're not perfect. But we will get better. The way we solve it is we've put a requirement on our side. Let's go to the next slide. Where? Number 1, fair ratings. If a rider rates you 3 stars or less, they are required to put in a description. They can't just rate you. They have to say why they're rating you 3 stars. And that rating does not go in your profile right away. It goes into a review section.
Cool.
Our team reviews that rating, and if it says something like, I didn't like the color of Taha's car, should that go on your profile?
No.
Should we get rid of that rating? No, that's illegal. That's review tampering. We can't do that as a company. But we have thought of some sort of creative solution. We will put that rating on your profile, but not count it against your overall star rating. We've created weighted ratings and ratings that people just had suggested that shouldn't count against your actual business. The details of this will come out and you guys probably start to understand how this impacts you better. But the point being, you will not get deactivated because someone doesn't like the color of your car. This works the other way too. If you rate a rider because they requested a ride from here to down the street and you didn't like it, and you rate them 1 star because of that, we will review that too. So it's fair both ways. Do you guys think that's fair? Yeah. But things change. So how do we keep up to speed with what's going on in the market? Corporate driving requirement. At different levels in the company, we're putting a requirement in place that each member at each level has to do 20 drives per quarter. So our people who are servicing you are actually going to be on the road, understanding what we're building, what's working, what's not working, so we can actually help solve those problems. Do you guys think that's a good way to do business? And I already hit on the driver and rider facilities. Do you think the bathroom idea has some traction, or should we just scratch that? And do you think there are other good ideas like that out there? So how do we find out? In Philadelphia, there's a Facebook group. How many of you are in a driver Facebook group, by the way, in this area?
Changing
All right,
to
well, you
this
should join them. They're a great resource.
YouTube.
Each city has a Facebook group.
out of
for
battery
drivers.
right now. Follow
Right
this.
now they're called Philadelphia Uber and Lyft drivers, Miami Uber and Lyft drivers. Soon they're called what? Exactly. So not just our Facebook group, which you definitely join, but the driver groups. Why? The biggest problem drivers have in Philadelphia in trying to figure out how to solve these issues is finding a place where they can go and meet up. All the super VIPs that went to our Go Center, do you think that's a pretty cool place to come and meet up and talk about problems? Our Go Centers are going to start to serve as a sort of a driver town hall place where we will come regularly to ask you, what are we doing wrong? Tell us what we're doing wrong so we can go back and fix it. If you follow any of the influencers out there that help put out news and advice, the rideshare guy, rideshare professor, Uber tubers, a lot of them have criticized Tryp. And I know some of you like it or don't like it. I love it because it tells us exactly what they think we're doing wrong. Doesn't mean we'll go and change it, but I'm willing to go talk to them. If they have some good ideas, we'll implement them. If they have bad ideas, then that's fine. We'll go move on anyway because we're not about competing, we're about dominating. Who's with me? Let's go on to the next slide. So what's next? what happens today onwards, what happens tomorrow, and how do we actually take this baby and launch it and never look back, really. I'm gonna get into a little bit of that now. And I'm gonna get into what it takes to launch this company at a level where we can have a flood of drivers and riders coming in. So let's go on to the next slide. I know we have grand ideas. We want to be all over the US, all over the world, and we want to be in, some of you, how many saw the DeLorean, super VIPs, you were, right? That was pretty cool. By the way, at our Go Center, there's a DeLorean over there. Might be the one from Back to the Future, don't quote me on it though. If you saw this movie, this is a pretty famous quote. The future is now. Where we're going, we don't need roads. And the reason I bring this up, our competition, what's their biggest cost? Their biggest cost is what? Who gets 70% of the ride fare? According to them, 75% of ride fare. Drivers, right? So what do you think they're trying to do right now? How? Autonomous vehicles, right? I'm not saying we have a solution yet, but guess how we're going to figure it out with you? When we go to autonomous cars, we may have a solution that involves you. Even if drivers are not in and driving the cars, who owns the car? Think about it. So we could have solutions that we work together to solve that. The reason I say we have these grand plans that we will solve. However, right now, to launch something, you have to take baby steps and you have to do them right. We don't have the liberty of what Uber and Lyft have where they can make a lot of mistakes in the beginning. If a rider comes on our app and they can't request a ride, guess where they're going to go? They're going to go to Uber, Lyft, and never come back. So what we're going to focus on doing is supporting you guys in building up that launch. We talked about how many of you like that we're going to waive your driver fees until we get you 150% of your income. Do you guys like that? Make some noise. How many of you like that we're going to waive the subscription as well until you make 150% of that? And on top of that, to get you rider demand, let's go to the next slide. We're going to do promotional launch activities in this area to get you riders. And the way we're going to do that is actually going to come out in terms of different events. We're going to tell you guys where to go. A lot of the issue with when I drove over Lyft, I didn't know where to go to get rides. We're going to tell you where these launch events are going to be. Go over there because there's going to be a lot of rides in that area, and go and give those rides to people. And we're going to fund those rides instead of the riders paying for them. We're going to give out free rides. And that's going to help people see that Tryp is not only more economical, but it's safer, it's more fair, and our drivers are better because they're happier. Are you guys pretty happy about this program so far? Let's go on to the next one. So, when's the first drive happening? Everybody wants to know. First drive is happening tomorrow at